was actually my intention to have a coffee during this video, but it's late, so you're just going to have to settle for some tea instead. Now, I know it sounds like perhaps I'm trying to shoe in every kind of supplement or every kind of nutritional product to be able to synthesize masculine gene expression via increasing free base testosterone. But there is a really interesting mechanism, which I'm not just going to talk about caffeine in this video, but a specific process that caffeine can have enormous utility in relation to keeping your masculine expression high and keeping your feminine expression low, very literally, actually. And like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about several other products that will have similar effects, because I know people aren't too keen on including caffeine in their particular diet, in their stack, in their nutrition, whatever you want to call it. I've never personally had a problem with caffeine. I can kind of take caffeine or leave caffeine. I do actually look forward to starting the day with a black coffee, but I'll typically leave it at one coffee. And I know I'm not speaking specifically about coffee. I'm speaking about caffeine, because you can get caffeine in various other items as well. But some people don't like that kind of stimulating effect. It gives them heart palpitations, and sometimes people just can't tolerate it. But enough with the preface. Let's go straight into caffeine, the inhibitor of the aromatization process and the protector of testosterone. So I mentioned this process here that you can kind of see on screen, which we're specifically speaking about, aromatization. So essentially what this is the conversion of androgens, so male hormones, into estrogens, female hormones, which in my personal opinion is a crime against humanity. Now, that is the surface level approach. Of course, there's going to be a lot of utility to estrogen in various other areas of the body, such as bone health. But by and large, you're talking about a hormone here that is primarily secreted in the ovaries of women. And last I checked, is I'm sitting here still with 2 testicles and a penis, and I have a preference to keep it that way, unlike some people in the social political landscape right now. So this is the particular process here. You've got the methyl group oxidation pathway. You've got free base testosterone here, and aromatase. So aromatase is an enzyme which essentially breaks testosterone down into estradiol. And estradiol is, of course, going to have those estrogenic and feminine qualities. Other influences on the body that we need to be sensitive towards is drinking beer. Now, I've personally, look, I will have a beer. I won't lie to you like these other influencers will. I can't believe I just referred to myself as an influencer. That is the first and last time I will do that. I'm an educator, perhaps. That's more accurate. I'm trying to give you the information you need to make your own decisions. So unlike those kind of personalities who will lie to you, I will not lie to you. I will be transparent to you. I live in the UK. I live in Britain, and there is a big drinking culture here. I have partaken in it a little bit more when I was younger, especially when I was at university. But equally with this big drinking culture, it usually surrounds football. And football is very, very big here in the UK and certainly Europe. And I do find myself, when I do go watch my beloved Newcastle United on a weekend, not every weekend, by the way, but if I get some of the boys together, I will have some beverages. But chronic consumption of beer is estrogenic in nature. I mean, take the archetypal football fan, right? Big belly, big tits, and kind of very feminine in disposition. Excessive body fat. Stress equally is going to have a effect on your cortisol levels, your stress response, and it's going to be estrogenic in nature. Low physical activity, high carb and sugar intake. So we want to be moving away from this area, as well as which are going to promote that kind of aromatization process in our body, particularly the beer one. Now, if we recognize that aromatization is essentially a feminizing process in the body to some degree, to some circles, I think you could certainly make a compelling argument in that particular field, the rational, pardon, or maybe the national question should be, how do we stop this function? How do we stop the function of aromatization? We need a aromatization inhibitor, and caffeine, there's much evidence to suggest that caffeine plays a substantial role in inhibiting the enzyme aromatase. There are some other nutritional or supplemental products that I would have you be aware of in this respect, as I kind of prefaced here. One of them is resveratrol, and this is found in red wine, in grapes, and some berries as well. Quercetin, we did a popular video, if you haven't seen it already, on honey. Not just quercetin, but also chrysin, which are products both found in honey. I did get some pushback from some of you saying that, this is still a sugar, but you need to remember this is a natural occurring sugar as opposed to the sugar that you are finding in manufactured products, biscuits and sweets and things like that. We're talking about something that is naturally occurring in nature, and glucose is part and parcel of the energy system that you are using to walk, talk, breathe, fight, run, and go to the gym. So if we're going to find, if there's going to be a choice between taking, a naturally occurring sugar in honey, which has some evidence to suggest that it is testosterone boosting, as opposed to corn syrup, which is heavily linked to cardiovascular disease, obesity, weight gain, we should go with the former. I also want to talk about apigenin. So this is found in parsley, in celery, and in chamomile tea. I'm actually not drinking chamomile. It would have been really nice to bring up the fact that I was drinking chamomile tea, but this is a chai tea. Curcumin. So this is a polyphenol present in turmeric. Turmeric is a fantastic addition in your diet. It really, really is. Anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, and again, aromatization inhibitor of that enzyme. You've got other substances that are found in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts, which can modulate estrogen. And in fact, there's some evidence that inclusions of things like broccoli can actually have effects on BPA in the body. So it can actually help take out some of the microplastics that are in the body. We talked about chrysin and also piperine, which is found in black pepper as well. So if caffeine isn't on the menu for you, I think these should certainly be considered in part of your, let's say, fight against this enzyme aromatase. Just wanted to speak kind of more specifically about how this process works. So it's all very well in saying that caffeine is an aromatization inhibitor. How does this actually function? Well, remember, aromatase is an enzyme. It's like a catalyst between testosterone and estradiol. And what actually happens is these inhibitors bind to the active sites in the enzyme and stop the enzyme from functioning, essentially. And that's what caffeine is doing here. And without caffeine, you've got this aromatization into the estrogen receptor and upregulating the activity of that particular receptor, which is what we don't want. Instead, we want a beautiful espresso, double espresso. Haven't quite made my way onto the espressos yet. Again, my favorite is just keep it simple, maybe a nice bold roast, maybe a Colombian roast, something like that. Black coffee. I'll have a latte if I've broken my fast already, and I don't mind that. I probably have more of a preference for a flat white or maybe an espresso macchiato. But yes, whether it's espresso, whether it's latte, the inclusion of caffeine in your day seems to have a positive effect on protecting testosterone via the aromatization inhibition process. Now, I was tentative to start talking about dosages because with caffeine dosages, you got to be careful because you don't want to go too far the north end. But I think there is certainly a time and place for caffeine in your day, especially if you're getting a lull in energy. But equally, you can account for resveratrol and a number of other different things if again you want to inhibit that enzyme aromatase. Interesting study. According to the study posted in the nutritional journal, men who consume caffeinated coffee on a regular basis are more likely to have higher testosterone levels. This particular study was administered over an 8-week period, and participants were compared to the control group that had no coffee or decaf coffee. And after only 4 weeks into the study, the caffeinated group saw significant increases in their total testosterone level and decreases in the amount of total and free estradiol estrogen in the body. So we have objective empirical evidence that it increases testosterone via the mechanism that we have been discussing in this particular video today. Now, some people will push back and say chronic consumption of caffeine can promote cortisol, which is a stress response. And if you know cortisol steal, what actually happens is that the body prioritizes the same building blocks for testosterone and cortisol, and will push them over to cortisol, so you're not building testosterone. I am aware of that. There's also some interesting information about caffeine and erectile dysfunction. I know we're talking about testosterone specifically, but as an extension to testosterone, we're talking about how we can express our masculine genes, and we can't do that if we're limp dick. We need to be hard. Pause. We need to be penetrating life. Pause. We need to be making love to life. Pause. But no pause. But true. Very, very true indeed. So there's, again, some evidence here that increased blood flow to this area is going to be more beneficial, boosting energy, antioxidants that can protect blood vessels, aid circulation, and as we talked about, blood flow. It's commented that men who drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day may have an easier time getting and maintaining their masculine expression, let's say. I'm fortunate to say that I have never, ever, ever, well, not never, ever, ever. I've only had this problem once, and on that once, I was at university. I was day drinking, which I will never, ever do again, and I was cross-eyed, put it that way. I don't remember much, and if my body wasn't obeying me in that sense, if my memory wasn't obeying me in that sense, then my member certainly was taking the evening off. Gentlemen, talk to me about the inclusion of caffeine in your diet, if this is something that you use regularly, and if you've noticed that this has an influence on vigor and all the expressions testosterone give you. These are not theories, these are facts. Speak soon.